From the balcony, a woman folded her arms and narrowed her eyes. Her lips curled like she had been waiting for this very moment. So, after all these years, you crawl back with empty hands? Is this what you brought from Obodo Oyabo? Evelyn asked, her voice sharp like broken glass. Jasmine looked up slowly. Her lips trembled. Her throat tightened. She opened her mouth but no words came. They say home is where the heart is. But for Jasmine, home was the place her heart broke, piece by piece. She was only 9 when everything changed. Her mother, her soft-voiced angel, the woman who kissed her forehead every night and sang her to sleep, was taken by the cold hands of death. One day she was there, folding clothes with a smile, the next, she was gone, buried beneath the red sand of Enugu. Jasmine stood beside the casket that day, her small hand clutched tightly around a faded teddy bear. She didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt. Oh, it hurt. But the pain was too big for tears. It lived in her throat like a lump. Heavy. Silent. Choking. And just like that, her world shifted. It didn't take long for her father, Marcus, to remarry. People whispered. Some said he was lonely. Others said he was weak. But Jasmine, she just watched. Watched as her father brought a new woman into the house barely 6 months after her mother's death. Her name was Evelyn. A woman with skin like polished bronze and eyes that never smiled. She wore perfume that stung the nose and heels that clicked like a warning sign. In public, Evelyn was a saint. She laughed with neighbors. Cooked for church events. Always had perfect lipstick and a gentle tone. But inside the house? She was a storm that never passed. From the very first day, Evelyn made it clear, Jasmine, you don't belong here. She threw away Jasmine's toys. Called her dirty. Made her scrub floors until her fingers bled. The soft mattress Jasmine once slept on was taken away and replaced with a thin mat by the kitchen door. You're not a princess here, Evelyn would hiss. You're not special. You're just an extra. And Marcus? Her father? The same man who used to braid her hair and dance with her in the rain? He changed too. He stopped calling her my little sunshine. Stopped asking how school went. Slowly, he became a stranger in his own home. Evelyn poisoned him, not with food, but with words. She's disrespectful, Evelyn would say. She looks too much like her mother. She needs discipline. And Marcus, he believed every word. He stopped hugging Jasmine. Stopped defending her. Sometimes, he would walk right past her like she was air. Then came Malik. Evelyn's golden child. Born just a year after she moved in, Malik was everything Jasmine wasn't allowed to be. Loud. Spoiled. Wild. He spilled juice on the carpet and laughed. He broke dishes and blamed it on Jasmine, and every time, she got the slap. Malik had toys, new clothes, birthday parties. Jasmine had hand-me-downs and chores. Every morning, she would wake before the sun, sweep the compound, fetch water, and cook breakfast for everyone else. Then she'd go to school with an empty stomach, wearing torn shoes and a uniform that didn't fit. And when she got home, more work. No rest. No love. Just commands. She never had a birthday cake again. Never got tucked in. Never heard the words I love you from anyone in that house. The walls were heavy with silence. The air always tense. That house, it never knew love. Only pain. Sometimes at night, Jasmine would hide in the bathroom and cry quietly, biting her fists so no one would hear. She'd look at the tiny picture of her late mother tucked in her school book and whisper, "Why did you leave me here? Why didn't you take me with you?" Years passed. Pain became normal. Suffering became routine. But inside her chest, a fire started to grow. A quiet, slow-burning fire. She began to dream. Not just dream, but plan. She told herself, one day, "I will leave. I will not die in this house. I will breathe somewhere else. I will live." At 16, she got a scholarship. A rare opportunity to study in the UK. Evelyn fought it. Said, "Girls like you don't belong in London." Marcus didn't even show up at the airport. Only her school principal came to say goodbye. And just like that, she was gone. The air in London was cold, but it was freedom. For the first time, no one shouted her name in anger. No one slapped her for breathing too loud. But freedom didn't come easy. She worked jobs. Cleaned bathrooms. Slept hungry some nights. Cried in the cold. Still, she never gave up. With every tear, she grew stronger. She studied hard. She built connections. She survived. She rose. And over time, she built something. A life. A name. A business. But no matter how far she ran, the pain followed. Sometimes she'd wake up shaking, remembering the slaps. The insults. The feeling of being unwanted. It haunted her. Because no matter how much money she made, there was still a little girl inside her who just wanted her father to say, "I love you." And then, one cold winter night, she looked in the mirror and whispered to herself, "It's time." She packed her bags. Took a deep breath. And booked a one-way ticket to Nigeria. But this time, she wasn't coming back as the same broken girl. This time, she came back with a plan. And she was done being silent. The sun beat down hard that afternoon, but it wasn't the heat that made Jasmine sweat. It was the weight of memories. As the taxi slowed in front of the compound, she stared through the window. The gate looked smaller now, rusted in the corners. The paint on the house had faded. The flowers her mother once planted were long gone, replaced by dry patches of sand and plastic bags dancing in the wind. She clutched her small suitcase tighter. Home. At least, that's what they used to call it. The driver honked twice. A young boy opened the gate without a smile, without a word. Just a cold stare. Jasmine stepped out slowly, her feet touching Nigerian soil again after so many years. Her heart pounded like a drum. Her breath caught in her throat. And then, the front door opened. Evelyn. Still sharp. Still loud. Still wearing that same fake smile that never touched her eyes. "Ah. So the deported princess has arrived," she said with a wicked laugh. "London didn't want you again, ABI?" Jasmine forced a small smile, silent. She bowed her head lightly. "Good afternoon, Ma." Evelyn hissed and rolled her eyes. "Don't greet me. You think you can run to a Bodo Oyabo and come back with pride? You better drop that accent and sweep this compound." Behind her, Marcus appeared. Older. Grayer. But still carrying that same coldness in his eyes. He didn't hug her. Didn't ask how her flight was. Just looked her up and down like she was a stranger. "You left this house like a queen. Don't come back like a beggar expecting welcome," he said flatly. Jasmine opened her mouth to speak, but the words got stuck. She nodded slowly. Malik came next, dragging his feet, earphones in, chewing gum like a spoiled king. He glanced at her, smirked, and said, "So this is what deported looks like? Dang, sis, even the UK couldn't manage you." Jasmine smiled faintly again. But inside? A storm. That night, they didn't offer her a room. Not the guest room. Not even a mat in the parlor. They pointed her to the storeroom. A hot, dusty corner where broken chairs and old shoes gathered dust. The mat on the floor was thin. The fan was broken. The bulb flickered like it didn't want to shine for her. She sat on the mat in silence. No one brought her food. No one asked if she was okay. Instead, Evelyn shouted from the kitchen, "You better wake up early tomorrow. This house needs cleaning." Welcome home. The next few days were the same. Wake up. Sweep. Mop. Cook. Serve. Malik would toss his plates at her feet and walk off. Evelyn would call her useless. Marcus barely looked at her. To them, she was a shadow. A ghost they tolerated but didn't want. But Jasmine, she endured it all. Quiet. Watching. Learning. Pretending. At night, when the house went quiet, she'd pull out a small book from her bag. Not a diary, but something deeper. Inside were letters. Letters she wrote to her mother. Letters soaked in tears. Dear Mama, I wish you could see what they've become. What they turned me into. But I'm still standing, Mama. I'm still breathing. They think I came back with nothing. But I came back with everything. Some nights, she would stare at the ceiling and let the tears fall freely. Not because she was weak, but because that pain needed to be released. She remembered the taste of hunger. The sting of Evelyn's insults. The silence from Marcus. The laughter from Malik when she tripped or made a mistake. And yet, she cooked for them with steady hands. She washed their clothes with care. She answered yes ma and yes sir like a broken child. Because the truth? Jasmine wasn't broken. She was building. They didn't know that before she left the UK, she had moved her funds to Nigeria. Didn't know that she had friends. Power. Plans. They didn't know she wasn't alone. And she had one rule now. Let them dig their own graves. Let them show the world who they truly are. My silence will be the loudest scream. Every insult? Recorded. Every slap of disrespect? Written down. Every cruel word? Remembered. Because one day, the same floor they made her sleep on would be the stage where they begged for mercy. But for now, she waited. She cleaned. She bowed. She served. She smiled. Because when the time came, she wouldn't just return. She would rise. The sun rose again, but it brought no warmth to Jasmine. She stood by the sink, washing a mountain of dishes while Evelyn's voice rang from the living room like a broken bell. Lazy girl, hurry up. You think this house is a hotel? Foolish deportee. Jasmine said nothing. She just rinsed another plate and placed it on the rack. Her hands moved like a machine, but her mind was 1,000 miles away. Behind her calm eyes was a mind sharper than a blade. Every second in that house was a calculation. Every insult? Logged. Every glare? Noted. She wasn't just washing plates. She was gathering evidence. Her phone, tucked away in the waistband of her wrapper, was on record again. just like it had been for the past 2 weeks. In the corner of the kitchen, behind the empty gas cylinders, was a small power bank she used at night. No one noticed. No one cared. They thought she was broken. Useless. Stuck. But Jasmine? Jasmine was building a case. She wiped her hands dry and stepped outside to hang the washed clothes. The sun beat down on her head, and the wind carried dust across the compound. A normal person would see a poor girl doing chores. But beneath the surface, she was a lion in disguise. Before she came back to Nigeria, Jasmine had sat in her London office, the same office with glass walls, sleek chairs, and the name Jastech Systems engraved on the door. A multi-million-pound tech startup she built from scratch. It hadn't been easy. There were nights she slept in cold train stations. Days she begged for jobs no one wanted. But she never gave up. She learned to code. She learned to market. She built her company from a laptop and a dream. And when the business exploded, she didn't buy a fancy house or chase fame. She bought freedom. And now? She was using that freedom to fight the war back home. Weeks before she boarded the flight, she had called someone she trusted more than anyone in Nigeria, Kendra. A lawyer. A fighter. A friend. Kendra, she had said over the phone, I'm coming back, but not as myself. I need you to handle everything. Quietly. And Kendra, without asking why, had simply said, say no more. Since then, Kendra had been receiving quiet transfers. Money Jasmine had saved. Power moves disguised in silence. Kendra had registered new land titles. Bought surveillance equipment. Filed paperwork under fake names. Now, Jasmine looked like a poor deportee, but behind the scenes? She had money in banks. Lawyers on standby. And everything she needed to bring the storm. Inside the house, Malik's voice broke her thoughts. Yo, Jasmine. Come wash my sneakers. I stepped in poo. She turned slowly and nodded. Yes, I'm coming. He laughed. That's right. Obey like the good housemaid you are. She picked up the shoes, still smiling. But her smile wasn't from obedience. It was from knowing the same sneakers would one day be used in court as evidence of neglect. As proof of how they treated her. That evening, she sat on the cold floor of the storeroom again. But tonight, she didn't cry. She didn't write to her mother. She didn't feel like a victim. She felt powerful. In her hand was her second phone. The one no one knew about. She tapped the screen. A secure app opened. Inside were folders, videos, voice recordings, photos. Evelyn's shouting. Malik's threats. Marcus signing unknown documents. All of it, safe. Suddenly, the light flickered above her head. She looked up, smiled faintly, then turned back to the phone. It was time. She pulled up Kendra's contact. Her thumb hovered over the call button for a moment. Her heart beat faster. Then she pressed call. It rang once. Twice. Then, Kendra speaking. Silence. Jasmine swallowed hard. It's time, she said softly. And from the other end came only 2 words. I'm ready. The night before the storm was quiet. Too quiet. Jasmine sat in the storeroom again, staring at the cracked ceiling, barely blinking. She could hear Evelyn laughing outside with some man. That nasty laugh, the one that made her stomach twist. Then she heard the man speak. So she's the one? Hmm. She's fine. Slim, quiet. I can manage her. You said 300, right? Evelyn chuckled. She doesn't have a choice. She's just eating and sleeping here. Let her go and be useful for once. Jasmine's heart dropped. She wasn't stupid. They were trying to sell her off. Like an object. Like livestock. Evelyn had always hated her, but this? This was a new level. She curled into herself, her fingers shaking. Then, a knock. Soft. Careful. It was Malik. He didn't wait for her to answer. He pushed the door open and stood there like a god in his own mind, one hand in his pocket, the other holding his phone. I know you got money somewhere, he said. All this forming, poor girl, it's fake. Jasmine didn't move. She didn't even blink. Malik walked in closer. See, I don't care what happened in the UK. I don't care if you were deported or not. But I know girls like you. You got something. And I want it. He leaned in. His breath was hot. You give me 5 million by tomorrow, or I'll make sure that man outside gets what he wants. He turned and walked away like he had done something powerful. But all he'd done was trigger the storm. Jasmine stayed still for a few more minutes. Then, slowly, she reached under her mat. Pulled out her other phone. Opened the app. The recording was perfect. The threats. The deal. The voices. Clear as day. The next morning, the compound didn't wake up to a rooster crowing. It woke up to sirens. Black jeeps. Police vans. Reporters with cameras. Men in suits. Women with files. Lawyers with badges. The gate burst open like a movie scene. Neighbors gathered at their windows, peeking through curtains. Some stepped outside in wrappers, whispering, "What's happening?" Evelyn ran out first, tying her scarf. "What's going on? Who died?" Marcus followed, looking confused. Malik rushed out shirtless, holding his phone. Then the crowd stepped aside. A black SUV door opened slowly. And out came Jasmine. But not the Jasmine they knew. No rapper. No bare feet. No shaky voice. She wore a power suit, black and gold. Her hair was in a sleek bun. Her heels clicked like thunder on the pavement. Behind her, Kendra stepped out holding a folder thick with evidence. Jasmine walked straight up to the gate. Evelyn blinked. Wah. What's this? What are you doing here? Jasmine didn't answer. She raised her hand. A police officer stepped forward. Evelyn Marcus, you are under arrest for attempted human trafficking, child abuse, and conspiracy to defraud. Evelyn screamed. Lie. It's a lie. This girl is mad. More officers stepped forward. Malik tried to run, but they grabbed him. What's going on? What is this? Marcus shouted. Kendra opened her folder. These are land documents forged in your name. You tried to steal your late wife's property. You're going to court. The street was silent. No one could believe it. And then, Jasmine spoke. Loud. Clear. Calm. All these years, you treated me like I didn't belong. You beat me. Starved me. Mocked me. But I remembered everything. I recorded everything. She turned to Evelyn. You tried to sell me. She turned to Malik. You threatened me. She looked Marcus dead in the eye. And you signed my mother's land away like it meant nothing. Tears welled up in Marcus's eyes. Jasmine. I didn't. She raised a hand. Don't. You stopped being my father the day you watched me cry and turned your back. The reporters began snapping pictures. Jasmine stood tall, surrounded by cameras, police, and lawyers. No longer the maid. No longer the deportee. She was a storm. And now, they would feel the rain. As Evelyn was dragged into the van screaming, Malik begging and Marcus collapsing into a chair, Jasmine looked up at the sky. It wasn't cloudy. But thunder had already fallen. The compound was quiet. Too quiet. After the chaos, after the sirens, after the cameras packed up and drove away, what was left behind was silence. The kind that pressed against the walls like a heavy memory. But inside that silence, something had shifted forever. Jasmine stood in the center of the living room. The same one she used to scrub with tears in her eyes. The same place Evelyn once tossed slippers at her for not mopping fast enough. Now, it was empty. The dust had settled, and so had the truth. She slowly walked over to the old photo frame on the wall. It used to hold a picture of Marcus and Evelyn, smiling like they were the perfect couple. But now, it was cracked. She took it down. Behind it, hidden like a ghost, was another photo. Faded, soft, almost forgotten. It was her mother, real, kind, beautiful. Holding a little girl in her arms. Jasmine, age 5. Smiling with no idea of what pain life had waiting. Tears filled her eyes, but this time, they didn't fall from sadness. They fell from power. Jasmine turned the photo frame over and whispered, I did it, Mama. I came back. I didn't just survive. I stood. Down the hallway, the lawyer Kendra came walking in, heels clicking. They signed it, she said. The court handed everything back to you. The land. The house. The assets. Malik's bank accounts frozen. Marcus has been stripped of all legal power. And Evelyn? She's facing trial. Real time. Jasmine gave a soft smile. Thank you, Kendra. For everything. You did the real work, Kendra said. You walked through fire. Jasmine chuckled quietly. And now I get to build something beautiful from the ashes. The next few weeks passed in motion. The house that once smelled of hatred began to smell of fresh paint and fresh starts. The walls were scrubbed clean, not just of dirt, but of memories. The mat she used to sleep on was gone, replaced by beds with warm blankets. She didn't want revenge. She wanted rebirth. And that's exactly what she created. The house of second chances, a place for broken girls like her. Abandoned girls. Beaten girls. Girls who were told they were nothing. Girls who had nothing but silence and shame. They came in scared. They left strong. Jasmine didn't just give them a roof, she gave them a voice. Classes, therapy, job training. Some of the girls cried for weeks. Some didn't speak at all for days. But Jasmine understood. She knew that kind of pain. She had carried it. And now, she was building bridges over it. One day, as the sun began to set, Jasmine stepped outside alone. The compound looked different now. Peaceful. Light. Flowers lined the walkway. A small garden bloomed where Evelyn once threw trash. She wore a simple white dress. No makeup. No jewelry. Just her natural skin, glowing in the evening light. She walked barefoot across the grass, letting the earth feel her steps. Behind her, laughter floated from inside. The girls were playing a game, teasing one another, singing songs. But she needed a moment, just one moment, to breathe. She reached the edge of the compound and looked out. The sky was orange and purple. The sun slowly dipping like it was bowing in respect. Jasmine whispered again, "They thought I was broken." Her voice was calm, but strong. They thought I'd stay small. That I'd stay silent. That I'd disappear. A breeze brushed past her skin like her mother's touch. But I came back. Not for them. For me. For every girl who ever cried in secret. For every daughter who was made to feel unwanted. For every woman who rose from ashes. She looked down at her palms. The same hands that once scrubbed floors, now holding the future. And for the first time in years, she closed her eyes, not to hide, but to feel. To feel peace. To feel pride. To feel home. And in that still moment, under that sunset sky, she smiled, not because the pain was gone, but because she had outlived it. Because pain didn't break her. It built her. Jasmine didn't just return to survive. She returned to rise. Now tell me, if you were Jasmine, would you ever forgive them?
If Jasmine's story moved you, don't just sit there. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. What would you do if you were in her shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters. Let's start a conversation that can change lives.